Alright guys, welcome back to VALORANT News. Massive Rostermania updates going down over the last 24 hours, including loud Saadhak confirming that there are indeed discussions going down between himself and potentially NRG to join as their new in-game leader. Many changes are going to be happening here, loads of rumours emerging. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. Both straps already cooking right here. Also wanted to mention quickly that Tens made it down to the final 4 of the World's Greatest Gamer Tournament, but at Void eventually took the W here, so congratulations. Zekken fell just shy, making it all the way. Now, you saw this the other day that we mentioned, where Leo Farrier was discussing the state of Tier 2 and made the following quote. He doesn't really help himself, Leo, a lot of the time by some of the quotes that he comes out with. But as he said, you know, it's not our vision to have stability in Tier 2. And this was the quote that got a lot of Tier 2 teams, and I think for good reason, up in arms, being like, what do you mean you don't want stability for Tier 2? What do you mean that you don't really care if our organizations can actually survive and make this work and make this profitable? So we then see some responses to this coming out from, for example, Reta Esports. So this is a South American team. They've been in the kind of VLR challenges for a little bit of time, and they come up with the following statement. Mr. Leo Farrier, so directly addressing Leo Farrier, the top guy from Riot on this side, understanding your product's ecosystem and striving for its sustainability should be your main objective within VALORANT. Disregarding and undermining a division that puts in so much effort to improve within your own video game is a lack of respect in capitals towards players, investors, organizations, and all the followers who support and follow the second division product. Tier 2 is as important as Tier 1. Without Tier 2, there is no Tier 1. Everyone has gone through Tier 2 at some point to compete in the product we all strive to be a part of today. No more disrespect for the developmental division of all VCTs. Respect, sustainability, and support. So, I mean, look, when you see stuff like this, you know that it's all going on down there in Challengers right now. And actually, Leo responds and says, thanks for the message, folks. We have a ton of respect and appreciation for everyone competing at VALORANT. What we're saying is we don't see challenges as the end of the road, which is, you know, sure, this is true. And what he says here is perfectly fine and reasonable, but I think some of the things that he said elsewhere, not necessarily so much the case. So he says, it's not supposed to be the place where teams and pros come to establish themselves and stay forever because, you know, teams want to progress, pros want to progress, that's how it works. It's a way station to the top leagues, an access and developmental competition, but of course, to do well, it needs to be successful, have an audience, be attractive and sustainable for tournament organizers, teams and pros. So, you know, sure, I mean, this sounds good, right? And I know that they are taking steps to try to achieve that, but this isn't always the perception you get from what they say about Tier 2. We're making several changes to help it thrive, including redesigning, season calendar, etc., etc. Read this article is what he says. So, look, he responded, fair play. And as much as I don't think he always makes the best decisions, I do kind of feel bad for him in the sense that I'm sure he's not the only one making decisions. I'm sure there's a big team behind him and probably people higher up than him who make the calls, and he has to be the messenger a lot of the time. I'm not always sure he does the best job of being the messenger, but still, at least there is someone that's public facing within Riot on this side, which is better than having no communication at all. Now let's talk roster changes. Firstly, from Scream, it was confirmed, we saw him talk about this maybe a week or so ago, that KC were moving in a new direction, and it's now been confirmed that he's been allowed to explore options going elsewhere. So not exactly clear if he's going to be restricted or unrestricted, but yeah, Scream will not be on KC next year. That is the heavily implication here. There's also this from Turtle Troop, who may or may not get signs. Hopefully they do, because they're pretty good at the end of last season, but maybe organizations won't be so keen to come in. But Dido, actually formerly of TSM, is going to come in as their head coach, so potentially good news for him if they do particularly well as a team. They might get signed. We'll see how many organizations are interested in getting involved. We did also see this yesterday, some rumors around what's going on in the APAC side, and Bodork says that from his understanding, yes, DFM are going, so Detonation Gaming are going full Japanese. At least that's the most likely possibility. Zeta working on how they want to continue. They sources say they'll keep 3 to 4 players, only one change being certain. G is cooking apparently, so looking forward to that one. And you know, a couple of other things going on there as it stands. Now this from James Veth. Now you've always got to say, when these kind of new leakers, I like James, what he does on the VALORANT side, the scrim bucks and all this stuff, great content. I will say that you know, when these new leakers come in, you never really know like how good their sources actually are. Are they going to get their first few reports and ideas wrong? So, you know, always, if George Geddes says it, you can be pretty sure that it's going on just because he has that reputation, that he's done this for a couple of years now. He has built up a good network of sources. When new guys come in, you know, it's difficult to say how valid their sources are, whether they consult multiple sources before they say a story, so a bit of grain of salt. But I think this is probably true because Flynn seems to agree with it as well, that Leviathan are considering a more international approach, and apparently Takalia is going to be gone. So that's the present rumour over there. We'll get back to that more in a second. And Bodog also came out with his teams that are apparently cooking real good for rosters for next season. So, I mean, yeah, he puts, no changes Fnatic into this category. Now, I will say it's difficult to say what's exactly happening here, and this can change so significantly, right? When he's put a lot of the teams into the good moves category, and I'm sure that he's heard some rumours on most of these teams, and some teams making minimal moves. I mean, he's got budget as well, Furia, MIBR, C9, and 100 Thieves all in the budget category. He then has 4 teams in the confusing category with, it's a BBL, Zeta, Loud, and EG. EG, let's not forget, the world champions. So, I think if EG are going to do anything, it might be changes to their kind of like secondary team, their 6 through 10 players, right, that they have. I don't think that there's any world in which they make a roster change to their starting team. You would think, but crazy things have happened in esports. Now, Loud is another one that it seems more likely than not right now they will make a change. Despite a good placing at the World Championship, there were rumors before the tournaments that changes might be necessary, might be coming, and now that seems potentially more likely than not. At the top end as well, he's got Vitality, Bleed, and then Global Esports cooking real good. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what that involves. And we also wonder where Ye's going to go, because Ye has currently not been linked to any of the teams in the Americas. So, and we remember that he even mentioned this on stream, he had that mega offer coming in from some APAC Tier 2 team a while ago. And we actually thought that team was Bleed, I'm pretty sure. There were rumors going around last season that Ye was offered a mega bag to go to APAC and play in Tier 2 over there. He decided not to, of course, and went to Cloud9. But we think the team that offered him that was Bleed. It might not have been, but that was the rumor. And now Bleed are actually in franchising in the Partnership League, so maybe there's something in that. We'll get back to that in a second, though, because it was then also rumored by Lembo yesterday that indeed 2 organizations that have expressed interest in the guard players are indeed G2 and FlyQuest. We saw yesterday the leaked DMs between Chet and Tex from the guard, well, formerly of the guard, saying that yes, G2 and FlyQuest interested. So which would you guys prefer to see if it's only these 2? And we thought that maybe Dignitas as well. But yeah, G2, FlyQuest. GG seems the most likely, but FlyQuest might be able to offer more money because I think they've been throwing a lot of money around lately. So that's a very interesting proposition. The other big thing, though, that was leaked and was in those DMs was the Saadhak Derek Truong conversations, which clearly implied that Chet and NRG were having some talks with Saadhak from Loud. This also for Matthew Elmore, MCE over at Cloud9, with 5 kind of blue squares and a tick. So does this mean of the 6 players on the roster, including the substitutes, they just have 1 now confirmed? Does it mean they've got 5 confirmed and that's a tick at the end? It's more likely that this means Jake is coming back. That's the present rumor, that Jake is happy to accept basically the minimum because I think they're seriously cutting costs, Cloud9, and you can't blame them for doing so. But the rest of the team is not yet set in, and Zelsis is quite possibly gone as well, but he might come back. This is the thing. So this is Flynn's latest spreadsheet as of yesterday, and there's also a couple of interesting things just to mention here on, let's say, the Pacific side on Gen.G. We see Lakia potentially to Gen.G is an option, which I think was rumoured a while ago. So that's potentially going on, and there's other things happening. Big changes all across the board, of course. But let's look a little bit here to EMEA and the Americas, right? So especially on the Americas, there's quite a lot happening. Now, 100 Thieves, I'm pretty sure will make some moves. I just don't think there's any info, which is why that this is kind of being considered stable. But I highly doubt 100 Thieves keep their roster together. I just don't think that's wise, especially given all the players they could sign from M80 or others in the Tier 2 and try and switch up their roster. So Sintil's still primarily linked here with Valin. John QT primarily linked right now with potentially NRG, but also, as we can see, Saadhak has appeared. Now, I think that Flynn put this on here just because of the rumours that we saw yesterday because of those leaked DMs. But now Saadhak has actually made a comment on this and said that yeah, like, we have at least entertained some conversations there. So NRG, John QT, NRG Saadhak is a possibility. And what does that mean, therefore, for Loud? Because, as he then puts for Loud, Aspas is now less is likely, but not for sure. Saadhak is not for sure. The other one to mention as well at the bottom of the screen here is what's going on with potentially G2, the FlyQuest team, with or X the Guard, because Tex is maybe linked to NRG, Valin is maybe linked to Sentinels, so that would then leave Jonah P, Trent, and Net. Now, is that enough? This was the big talking point the other day. If they keep 3 of the 5, is that enough to say to Riot, look, this is still our team, we still have majority players, we are going to get this new organisation in and we're going to have the 11th team with potentially 2 other guys? Or do Tex and Valor need to come along as well in order for that to happen? That's a question for them to answer. But it seems like right now, even given how good Trent and Net are and how they might be linked to a team like Cloud9 or 100 Thieves, if those teams are going to pay minimums and they're on budgets, then they might as well stay together and join another team that can potentially even offer them a bit more money, or at least they can stay together and make the same money maybe. So there was a clip from a stream actually from Saadhak where he mentioned, it's in Portuguese, but basically what he talked about here was that he admitted to, it was only a very brief clip, but he said that there's been some degree of an open handshake where Saadhak has at least entertained conversations with NRG as it stands.
Rolou papo com chat, mas também em parte fazer uma formalidade, tá ligado? Eu não sei se vocês entendem como funciona o mundo dos esports, mas tem muitas similitudes, semelhanças com o mundo dos negócios, tá ligado? Então, você nos negócios tem um momento que você precisa chegar e aí, tudo bem? E aí, tudo bem? E aí, tudo bem? Significa que você vai estar com os caras? Não significa. Significa que você está conhecendo, está expandindo seus horizontes, está conhecendo mais gente. Então, eu não vou esconder que eu não conversei com ele, porque eu conversei com ele, tá ligado? Mas eu quero que também vocês relaxem um pouco. Eu sei que tem muita desinformação no mundo dos esports, tá ligado? Então, relaxa, mano. Relaxa um pouco mais. Entendeu? Relaxa. Não está nada escrito na pedra, mano. Não tem nada escrito na pedra. Então, tem que relaxar.
He also said that he was training less to be an IGL on the team, and says that he believes that if he does leave Brazilian Valorant Saadhak, and he does speak pretty good English, I think, he can be proud of what he's achieved. So he says like chill about it, like these initial talks are common, but still it's now basically confirmed that indeed these conversations are being had. And as Flynn then says, what if Loud only maintains less toys and Kawanzan? Like, how's that going to go? And then we have Noyan also saying, jokes aside, this is not the first time that a gringo org, so gringo basically just meaning like foreign org, right, like American org, talks to Saadhak, know that. So yeah, like it's basically been said from all sides now that this is happening, not just that those leaks weren't for nothing. Saadhak to NRG is a legitimate possibility here, and it would be crazy if that happens, but and it's so funny that I kind of just want to see that it actually goes through now, but it's obviously early days here. But yeah, that's a legitimate chance. This kind of weird Loud Optic after all these years, uniting in some sense, right, when Optic are now on NRG and Saadhak leaves Loud to go and join NRG, and it's kind of this like Optic Loud thing. Strange if that happens, but it's definitely possible. What does that mean for the rest of the rosters? Very much intrigued to hear your perspective in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.